Hey guys, today I'm reading the fanfic called Train of Thoughts by ender_is. This is a one shot, but there is a part 2 to it, so I'll go read that later if you guys like this. Here's the summary. Izuku was a monster. That's what his mother told him every day. This is angst, so please be careful. So I do have to add the trigger warnings for this fanfiction, which are going to be suicide attempt, self-harm, child abuse, child abandonment, and yeah, it's basically angst all around. This is a soulmate AU, by the way. And let's get into the story. Mom, come look. A young Izuku ran over to his mother, clearly excited about something. My soulmate messaged me. The older Midoriya smiled at her son. Soulmates tend to appear around the age of quirks, but since Izuku was diagnosed as quirkless last week, Inko couldn't help but be nervous if Izuku would even get a soulmate at all. It was very rare for a quirkless person to have a person who was always with them. She glanced down at her son's arm, only to gasp and take a step back from him. You monster! Quirkless and 2 soulmates. Mommy? Izuku stumbled forward, reaching out to his mother. Slap. Don't call me that. I'm not your mother. I will not have a monster as a son. She took a step forward with her arms out, and Izuku, thinking it was a hug, reached out his arms as well, only for Inko to shove him into his room and into his closet. The 5-year-old sat down, curling himself into a ball, and cried. After a few minutes, he lifted his tear-stained face and looked on his arm where his 2 soulmates were conversing. I'm glad you're nice. Me too. If I had gotten someone mean, I don't know what I would have done. Your eyes went from eye to eye. Spelling and grammar is hard. True. They don't want him. They were happy. Maybe Mommy will love him again if he doesn't talk to them. 2 years later. 2 years had passed, and the green-haired boy was now 7. This life had pretty much evolved into a life of fear and pain. Every day, the kids at school bullied him, and when he came home, Inko would beat him. Just like she said 2 years ago, he was no son of hers. School had let out half an hour ago, and since it was a Friday, Inko wouldn't be back until 10 p.m. At least, so Izuku had free time. He sat down in the garage, the only place not covered in blood and bad memories. The bandages on Izuku's arm fell off easily, with a few tugs. As always, Izuku's arms were covered in his soulmate's writing. Hey, Hito, you okay? I should be the one asking you that. Was training worse than usual? Sho's father was a pro hero who trained him so he could be better than All Might, but all of them knew that it was more abuse than training. No, he was out of town today. Then who's hurting? Do we have a third? It would make sense. I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I'm glad to have another soulmate, but they're hurting a lot. All the time. Yeah. Izuku stared at his arm in something like shock. They cared about him? They wanted a third? No, they didn't. He shouldn't get his hopes up. They just wanted the pain to go away. He kept putting them through so much pain. Maybe there was a way for Izuku to cut them off, but did he want to? They hated him, and he caused the pain, but did he want to let them go? 3 years later, the green-haired boy walked into the house to find it empty. He glanced around the room to find a note sitting on the counter. Leaving. Your dad will continue to pay the bills, but I can't deal with you anymore. A sigh turned into a laugh, escaped Izuku's mouth. He should have expected it. She took the furniture too. He was half safe at this realization. The boy collapsed on the floor, loud tears falling down his face. She was gone. Why does he feel so crazy? Like he has no control of his body. That was probably just the complex PTSD he had. Not that he was diagnosed. It was just impossible to not have it after this awful childhood. He needed control. How could he get control? There was something online that he saw about self-harm. Maybe that would work? What could he use? Something that wouldn't let the cut get infected. Maybe Inko left a knife behind? Maybe Inko left a knife behind? He had his money stashed, so the best option was to probably go out and buy a pocket knife. That would be best. Izuku pulled on an old sweater that had been sitting on the bottom of his closet for God knows how long. Somehow it still fit him. The 10-year-old was just that malnourished, apparently. Izuku had to run to a family-owned camping store that was about 2 blocks away from his house. Maybe it could be a home now that Inko left. Probably not. Izuku bought a pocket knife, a coat, and a few heavy-duty camping clothes so he could have a place to sleep that night, and some clothes that weren't really dirty from years of use. What would be the best place to do this? Not on the carpet. The blood would stain. The bathroom? No. Too many bad memories. Inko's bathroom? He hadn't been in there since his soulmates started writing to each other. That might be the best place. It felt like time was moving in slow-mo. As the younger Midoriya, if you could even call him that, creeped up the stairs like he was afraid that Inko would come out of her room and hit him because the upstairs are off limits. To Izuku's surprise, Inko's bed had not been moved, probably to save time. It was weird though. Why take couches, TVs, and dining room table, but not her own bed? With a glance, Izuku could tell that he had hit the jackpot. There was a mini fridge that had lots of food in it, a full bed, and with the bed there was bedding, something Izuku hadn't seen or used in years. Delaying no more, Izuku made his way to the master bathroom and flipped open the pocket knife, making a clean cut straight across his skin. It hurt, but at the same time, Izuku relaxed at the feeling. Since Izuku had his arm unwrapped, he could see his soulmate start writing. In all honesty, Izuku didn't know it was possible to write that fast. Stop. Why are you doing this? Please, just talk to us. We want to help you. Izuku just made another cut across his arm, watching as the blood leaked out of the wound. It was calming in a weird way. Please, just tell us what's wrong. We can help. Just don't do this. The next cut was a bit deeper. Can you at least give us a chance? Please. Izuku ignored them again and made another cut, this time on his thigh, so he wouldn't have to see his soulmates trying to get him to stop. He didn't want to stop. It made him feel good, in control. But he's hurting them. A shake of his head got rid of that thought. This was him coping, and if they couldn't deal with that... 2 years later. For a while, cutting had been enough, but lately it felt boring. The calming feeling of the pain was lessened, but still there. Izuku didn't really want to be here anymore. He didn't want to exist anymore. If someone could pull a Thanos right now, that would be great. Thanks. But really, knowing Izuku's luck, he would probably be in the half of the population that survived. If only sleep would come easy. No, it couldn't. Instead, it came in nightmares that lasted longer than the dream itself. It came in 30-minute laps, and sometimes it didn't come at all. Maybe he could die in his sleep. That would be nice and peaceful. But the only way to do that was to pass from old age, unless he could hire someone to kill him in his sleep. But sleep would never come if he knew that someone was there to murder him, and that wasn't the way he wanted to go anyways. His alarm went off next to him, reminding the boy that it was time for school. Later that day, maybe you should just take a swan dive off the roof and hope for a quirk and soulmate in your next life. Thanks, Kat-chan. I hadn't thought of that, Izuku whispered under his breath. Before he made his way up to the roof, he stopped in the bathroom to cut some more. It was almost the end, and he wanted to feel the calming pain of the knife running across his forehead again before he died. The green-haired boy numbly watched the blood run down his wrist and pooling around his elbow. Normally, his soulmates only came in to try to get him to stop after the third cut or so, but it must have shown that something was wrong by how deep Izuku was cutting, or the pure lack of emotions flickering through his head. Shio came in almost right after the first, and Hito joined him soon after the second cut. Please stop. Just talk to us. Give us a chance. We can help you. You want us to leave you alone, don't you? But I don't want to. I don't want to either, but we'll let you be. We're here if you need to talk ever. Izuku stared at his arm. He was glad that they let him go, but it kind of hurt also. Were they giving up on him? They never had any hope for him in the first place. Unsurprisingly, the roof door wasn't locked. It never was. Sometimes Izuku ate lunch up here on harder days. He sat on the edge, slipping off his shoes easily. After his shoes had been placed down next to him on the edge, Izuku closed his eyes and smiled. It was time. He could finally have peace. The smile never left as he fell backwards off the school that had been his hell for the last 3 years. Izuku flew. So that's this one. That's done. So I didn't post yesterday, and that was a mix between me being lazy and work just beating my fucking ass, because after I got home from work, I literally just passed out. Anyways, there is a second part of this that I will be reading, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.